Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tokyo. The second state of emergency has yet to be declared. It's going to happen tonight, and we think it'll take effect at midnight. We're not quite sure all of the details, but the Japanese news media here has been releasing more and more insight into what Prime Minister Suga and the Japanese government is planning to do. I thought I'd go over some of this. If you're living here in Japan, or if you're thinking about traveling to Japan, this is probably one of these historic moments, or something that you should probably have a little bit of your ears and eyes onto what's happening here in Japan. I'm a little bit, well, I'm very concerned about the increase in infections of COVID-19 over the last couple of weeks, especially after the new year. And today was the first day that Tokyo exceeded 2,000 infections. Now, if you compare this to the United States and Western countries, it's just a fraction of the number of people that have been infected. But um, it's still something that's very concerning for us here in Japan. And when we hit that number of 2,000 today, it raised a lot of eyebrows, including my own and my wife Kanai's. So this is the first time that Tokyo has topped over 2,000 for COVID-19. This is Thursday, January 7th. And the previous day's total was 1,591, and that was also a record. So we keep increasing the record by hundreds more. When we had 100 people infected about 6 months ago, that was a big deal. Now we have hundreds infected more every day. So it's again, it's like raising eyebrows all across the entire country. And starting tonight, or effectively tomorrow, but at midnight tonight, the state of emergency will begin for Tokyo, Kanagawa, Saitama, and Chiba, the four prefectures. The rest of the country is still on alert, but they're not in a state of emergency. So in this live stream, I'm going to be answering some of your questions, but also try to answer what exactly is a state of emergency. It's not the same as a lockdown or what's going on in the UK or the United States. How long will this be going on to? Why is this happening now? And how does this impact travel and the future of your trip to Japan? These are all very relevant questions. That's the most relevant question to you in particular. So Japan has been thinking about the state of emergency now since the Japanese holiday Shogatsu, which is about December 30th, that goes on until about January 5th of 2021. And it was Governor Koike in Tokyo who really started to raise concerns like it's time to consider doing a state of emergency. About 4 or 5 days ago, we saw that in the news. And this hit the news wires. We knew it was coming. It hit the news about I don't know, a few hours ago. We started to see it in the morning news on Hirobi on TBS, which is playing in the background here. So the curfew is not exactly specific enough right now, but we do have specifics, meaning restaurants were supposed to close at 10 p.m. Now they must close at 8 p.m. And that's actually a significant time difference, because most people get off of work at 8 p.m. So now restaurants, in particular bars, izakayas, places where people go out to drink and get really close to other people, your friends or coworkers, these will close at 8 p.m. Should they be closed all day? Maybe. I don't know, but this is part of the state of emergency. And as I read this, I want you to understand, like, Japan's version of a state of emergency won't result in the type of lockdowns that you see in Europe or the United States. It's not the same thing. The Japanese Constitution has an amazing amount of civil liberties. They cannot just fine people or arrest people for not adhering to the laws of Japan. This is very important for you to understand. When you see people going outside, walking around without masks, or me going out to Fujinomiya just a couple of days ago, there's no laws telling us not to do that. And the state of emergency was not even enacted. So you have to really understand that there's nothing, no penalties or law saying that you cannot do the opposite of what this says. But in Japan, for the most part, almost everybody is following what the guidelines of the government is. So please keep in mind that a shutdown or a state of emergency or something of this nature is not nearly the same as what you have in other countries. So please keep that in mind. The Constitution after World War II was very liberal in the civil liberties that people have. Many experts in Japan, and I've seen this over the last few months, that worried me the most was the eating scene, the bar scene. And this is something that experts here in Japan have criticized the government quite a bit. These places where most of the infections are believed to have originated. So that's why the restaurants and bars closing at 8 p.m. is a significant difference. It's just 2 hours, but the hope is that it does cut into that. The new measures will be looser. So the state of emergency is not the same as the first one. It's a lot looser in policies. That means that the schools will be staying open. This is a tough time for students because they have examinations. And I think you cannot cancel this part of the life. If you were to do that, this would really wreak havoc in the rest of the year. So the students are still going on, and Kanai's over there just to say no or yes. And you can see behind me, they're going over the curves and the just the explosion of infections over the last few weeks. So the schools will stay open, at least for right now. That's the plan. This is going to all really change. University entrance exams are going to be going ahead as planned as well. Department stores and cinemas will also likely remain open. This is something that a lot of people were pretty critical about, and this is a difference in a lockdown or shutdown in the United States or in Europe or in the UK. These places are going to stay open. So again, like, what does the state of emergency mean? I'm not really sure. I think they're encouraging us to stay, if you're in from these four prefectures, Tokyo, Chiba, Kanagawa, or Saitama, to stay in your prefecture, not to travel. I don't have any plans to travel. I did that the day before yesterday, which was to fill in some scenes that I needed for an episode. So these measures will be different. You have to ask the question, why now? And I'm going to get back into some of your questions. I see we get a lot of, this is a live stream, a lot of questions about exactly what the shutdown is going to do, and will this help at all? Many experts say this is too little, too late. I kind of am wondering why we didn't do this before the New Year's holiday. One of the things that Prime Minister Suga said was that he was surprised, or the government was surprised, that despite the warnings and the calls for the people in Japan not to travel during the December New Year period, a great number of people still got on trains and still went back home, still went to families. They left Tokyo and Osaka and Fukuoka and Sapporo, really heavier infected places, to those different areas around the country. And we're seeing maybe a spike as a result of that, which is about 10 days after now the start of the holiday season. So maybe this is a reason why now, because of the numbers are going up so high, that this shutdown, this state of emergency is the proper name for it, is being called right now. The other reason is that, the rates have been going up since New Year's, but hospital capacity also in Japan, and this is stuff that is very consistent with the rest of the world, right now is really at a breaking point too. There's a lot of, according to the news here, and I put the sources inside of the description of this video, 3,083 people, patients, have not reserved or secured a slot at a hospital or other facility that they need to. So there are people waiting for hospital beds right now, and this is something that is new for Japan. We didn't have this kind of problem in the first two waves, and now we're in the middle of the third one. So this is another reason why they've decided to call a state of emergency here in Japan. Just the situation and the load in the hospitals are really bad. Again, the movement of people did not stop either. The message that the government was saying was not being heard, and Prime Minister Suga needs to take a stronger measure. I think everybody is in agreement of that in Japan. All of the friends that I talk to, my Japanese friends, say the same thing: take a stronger measure. So laws are they need the approval of the government in order to penalize people for breaking the rules, like staying open later than the actual time of the state of emergency. In fact, if a restaurant were to stay open later, this is really important, they will not have any penalties at all. So what has been happening until this point, if you stayed open or you broke the rules, you were shamed in your community and on TV quite often. So if you were to do something that went so hard against the state of emergency, you would be on TV and then as an example of somebody who broke the rules. And in Japan, that's actually quite strong. When the government says something, most people usually follow it and they don't need to have a penalty in order to adhere to those policies. But we've seen just everybody, and I see this in the comment right now. We're all kind of just tired of it, right? We're all just kind of tired of this situation. So again, like, I don't think we need to, I don't need to say too much about this, but this is hitting the wire now. So I think it's good to talk about it. Again, there's sources in the description of this video that you should check out and read if you want to stay up to date. And these sources will be there months after this live stream in case somebody wants to see what was happening in January, in the beginning of January here. I've gotten this a lot from the Nikkei Asia article, which is a very reputable source. The scientists in the UK have warned that the vaccines may not work as well against the variant spotted in South Africa. This has been in the Japanese news and something that has been really worrying a lot of people. The actual efficacy remains uncertain, and this is one of the reasons why the Japanese vaccine is not actually, I got a comment from a viewer in Holland, Chris, who wrote to me that people are really upset in the Netherlands that the vaccinations are not happening as much as people had planned. You know how many people have been vaccinated in Japan? 0. The vaccinations haven't even started here. And in fact, the approval process for that vaccine will not begin until the beginning of February, meaning the end of February is the earliest that the government is saying that we can start the vaccinations for the people here. I think the state of emergency is also being called because we need to get the numbers down so people can go out and get those vaccinations and to help the government plan for that. That could be one of the reasons why the timing is now. Wow, there's so much information. February 7th is the current date that this state of emergency is to end. So starting tonight or tomorrow to February 7th, a pretty good month closed down. And there's criteria of what is needed for the state of emergency to lift. Now, we did not have an end date for the first state of emergency. This was decided by the government based on the data, the analytics on, they got the number of infections down to a certain level. Therefore, they ended the state of emergency after about 6 weeks or so. So in order for that to happen, it's listed here. If Tokyo, Kanagawa, Saitama, or Chiba wants to be off of the state of emergency list, the infection status must fall below the highest of 4 levels set by the government's virus expert panel for the state of emergency to be revoked. According to the Nikkei, that means that among several criteria, the number of weekly cases per 100,000 people needs to fall be under 25, meaning for every 100,000 people in the city of Tokyo, there has to be 25 people or less being infected daily. So right now the number is 46. So for every 100,000 people, 46 people are being infected, which is quite high, which is why we're seeing over 2,000 people infected. That number needs to get down to 25 in order for the state of emergency to be lifted, or February 7th, and then they start to consider what to do next with that. What does this mean for my show? I probably will not be going out very much, and we'll be doing like camping at home, Kanai's cooking shows, things that we can do, delivery food, story time with John, things like this over the next camping. Yes, I see that right there. Camping will be one of the things that I also do. More staying at home. And this is just something, maybe Twitch as well. Absolutely. I've been trying my best. I'm looking at what is considered a mess over in that direction as I get ready for Twitch and more live streaming back at home. We kind of saw this coming as the numbers were increasing in December. So it's not something that we're really surprising. Businesses are really worried here in Japan. We saw in this series at the end of 2020, so many businesses closing in Akihabara, around Tokyo Station, in Shinjuku, Shibuya, Harajuku. A lot of those businesses that you like to go to won't be there when you come to visit at the end of this year. And I think that the state of emergency, anybody who was on the fence or was just getting by, this could be what causes them to go under. And this is what worries me the most about the state of emergency. It is very, very hard for the government to balance this between the economic impact, which affects people's livelihoods, that they will not recover. There are people who will not recover economically from this, where their livelihoods are impacted, that number will be probably higher than the amount of people who will lose their lives. But we prioritize lives over business. If that number were to be catastrophic for the economy, I think that that's when you start to really have even harder questions. So you cannot blame the government. They have to do their best to balance the economic impact of what their actions mean to, and what will happen after this pandemic, to the lives that they will save as a result of these measures. Again, experts are saying this may be too little, too late, but I don't see how Prime Minister Suga could not do this either. He has to act and do something decisively and strongly. And I'm somebody who is always going to encourage. I'm not a political person, but I'm always going to encourage whoever's in power to do the right thing and have strong leadership. And he's showing that right now. So I'm really behind the Prime Minister here. Now, I get a lot of information in front of me. Maximum payouts for compliance. Now, if you were to shut your restaurant, again, there were no penalties for shutting your restaurant or not shutting your restaurant, but there are benefits for those that do. And those, I don't know if they're subsidies, but compliance, you are rewarded. So instead of penalizing for people who break the laws, the government is rewarding people who adhere to them or follow them. And I think that that's a pretty good plan until they change the existing constitution, which is something that worries a lot of people on how far that they go with changing those laws. Just a final thing on the vaccinations, and that's really all that I have to say. There's a lot of concern about the percentage of people under the age of 30 that are getting infected. The younger the person, the more that they haven't been paying attention of the rules or the laws or the pandemic, wearing masks and stuff when they're with their friends. As a result, we are seeing a higher rate of people infected under the age of 30, and people between 20 and 50 that are working, going to the office, are being the most impacted by COVID. So a lot of them are bringing it back to their families. And this is the thing that has really worried us, because we live in an area where there are a lot of families. There are people living in this neighborhood. So we get worried when we go now to the supermarket. We worry now when we go to just outside to the park and we're around a lot of people. This is something that we worried about before, but we are even more concerned about this now because of just the percentage of people at work and drinking after work that are going to these things. Again, like most of the Bonin Kai, most of the end of year parties were canceled. I had a lot of meetings and a lot of people that wanted me to go to drinking parties that I just did not go to because it didn't make sense, and I questioned why they had it at all. But it's very hard to change a culture that's been doing this for centuries, or at least since the end of World War II. This is sort of the way that the business is run. So it's very hard to change that, the mentality for business. Japan is getting the message, though, and we're seeing those changes happening right now. Whew, that's a mouthful. Tigrahov, sorry for the sadness. Lockdown. Here's for tempura outside if and when you can. Thanks so much for the info. You're very, very welcome. And I added the so and the very because I feel quite strongly about getting the news out to people and keeping you updated. And we're getting almost to the 1 year mark, which was, I believe, January 26th or 23rd. 26th was the first live stream that I did where I started getting concerned people who had trips to Japan. Now, the world was still not locked down at this time, about coming to Japan. Was Japan safe? And I'll put a link in the description as well. But it's interesting to go back to the first live stream that I did on COVID-19, which was just called the coronavirus back then, and to see what we have learned and what has happened in the last year. Again, like when 2020 changed just a few days ago, I felt this really big elation of hope. Like the light at the end of the tunnel is now in view. We have a vaccine. We do have medicines and medical treatment that can help. It's a different situation. We understand more about this, a different situation than a year ago. But we've also seen this just mutate and get more worrying. And now in Japan, the numbers higher than they've ever been. What looked like a mountain for that first and second wave, this third wave, when you look at it, and maybe you've seen it in the back of the TV behind me as we have the TBS running. TBS is the news source that I get a lot of news from in NHK, which is on a lot. We do not see like the end of we do not see the peak of this curve yet, and this is frankly another reason why the state of emergency was needed. Um, for those that are joining us, this state of emergency comes on the heels of over 2,000 people infected in Tokyo today. It was 1,500 yesterday, and we hit over 1,000 about 3 weeks ago in December. So the numbers are just getting bigger and bigger and higher and higher. And I think that it was very easy decision for them to call the state of emergency right now. Tortoro Porco writes in here, don't get down. Your live streams lifts the spirits of the community no matter where you're from. And this live stream is very much into the people that are living here in Japan and anybody else who's quite frankly interested in what's happening here in this country. I've been fortunate enough where I was able to travel, and it is actual work. This is what I do for a living, so traveling is necessary. It is an essential thing that I need to do because, again, if I do not travel and make the show, I do not get paid. I cannot continue my livelihood. So even though we're in a state of emergency, unless we have more specific saying not to leave your house, you might see more live streams where I am in places that I know there are very few people. And this is just because this is part of the job that I do. And I want to I guess give you this information in advance too, that the state of emergency here in Japan is much different than a lockdown or state of emergency in Europe or in Japan. You're still going to see people riding trains. The department stores are still open. The movie theaters are still open. Things are still moving the way that they were. They're just now trying stronger measures to do this, and we won't see the impact of this for a couple of weeks. I think the numbers are still going to get higher because I walked around, and I want to be really honest with you, as I always am. When I watched TV on the Ekiden race, which is university students that run from Tokyo to Hakone and back, I looked at the people that went out, and it looked very much like Washington, D.C. looks like right now. It looks very much like people were not listening. They went out. They had to get pictures of this. They just felt like 2021 meant that you could not get coronavirus, like it was over. And I saw more and more on TV and just walking around the city of Tokyo. I'm one of these people walking around, so I was contributing to that. So I'm significantly going to be cutting down on the amount of times that I go outside. But people were not really, I guess we can just say generally complacent they had become, despite the fact that we are in a better place in the sense that we are prepared for this more. There are vinyl sheets now at convenience stores and department stores. There is alcohol. There are temperature checks. They're doing everything that they can possibly do to follow the rules and make people feel safe. But it doesn't mean just because you pass these things that you cannot transfer this to other people. For the most part, people do wear masks. What does this mean for the Olympics? Tomorrow's live stream, I'm going to be going out to a location. I'm not going to tell you because I don't want you to come and find me and get me a you found me card. So I'm not going to tell you where I'm going. But I'm going to a location or a venue for the Tokyo Olympics tomorrow morning. And I'm going to be talking about what does this mean going forward. The why is very much connected to the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, which we probably should call 2021. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. 2020 Olympics is very much connected to the reason why this state of emergency has been called, in my opinion. And I believe when the Prime Minister comes out, nanji hajimaru no? Kare no nanji happyou suru, Suga-san? 6 like around 6 or 7 o'clock, the Prime Minister is going to be on TV and he's going to tell us all of the details. But of course, they release this to the press in advance. After I get that information and do a little bit more research, I'm going to tomorrow morning go over to an Olympic venue and then share with you some information about the news on this and why now. Why is the state of emergency taking place? And what does it look like currently, because we see these numbers spiking? We know that the vaccine isn't going to be coming until February, which is 2 months later than the United States and the rest of the world. What does this mean to Japan? What does this mean to the Olympics? What does this mean to me? And I honestly believe that the 2020 Olympics, 2021 Olympics, I don't know what you call them, is still going to take place. It's going to be different, but I think in tomorrow's live stream, you will pretty much have a very clear, now you will have a clear understanding of why this will take place, why I think this will take place, what needs to happen for it to take place, and what the government is thinking, and the people might not want the Olympics, but why it's so important for Japan. And I'm gonna do that tomorrow in a live stream. So hit that subscribe button and join us. WX Turbo, thank you. It's nice to see you back. Saya, Japan needs to have numbers stabilized so that they can hold the Olympics. Exactly, they need the Olympics for economic recovery. Saya, I think you're right on target with this. The Olympics is something that Japan strongly felt would have the same impact that it did in 1964. After World War II, the reconstruction of Japan took a long time. And in fact, like I have a lot of episodes, in fact, some edited video episodes on this, on how Japan got to this point, not with the coronavirus, but in the economy coming in 2021 on the new channel. If you have not subscribed to the new Only in Japan channel, yes, I do make edited content. It's still being uploaded on a new channel, youtube.com/JOHNDAUB, my name. That's the new Only in Japan channel made by me, John Daub. I have about 7 uploaded videos, and we have more coming, and a lot more. And thankfully, I have a bunch to edit, so I'll be quite busy for the next few weeks, even if I cannot go outside. But Saya, I think you hit that exactly on the head. If the numbers are not in control here in Japan, they cannot hold the Olympics here because it would be insane to do so. But the vaccine is here. Japan did buy 60 million doses of the vaccine. I think even more, maybe 130. I'm not sure, but the government's plan is to have everybody vaccinated before the Olympics. In order for that to happen, that's why February is probably the latest that Japan can start to vaccinate and be ready for the Olympics. But what is more important than that is the fact that the Olympic athletes, if there's a state of emergency, cannot train and they cannot hold the events for them to qualify for the Olympics. And this is why the decision for the Olympics probably needs to be called by March, and why the vaccines will probably start, by February. There's a reasoning behind the timing of all of this. So it's pretty easy to see why this is happening now. But as somebody who is, and I'm reiterating my stuff because this is a live stream, and the longer that I go, the more people are coming into it to get this information. Japan will tonight call a shutdown, a state of emergency. A lockdown and a shutdown is not what this is. It's a state of emergency, which is just the heightened level, the highest level. Is there anything higher than a state of emergency? State of, I don't know, panic? I don't know, but we're not panicked. We're just, this is the strongest way that the Japanese government can say it's time for us to say to the people, stay the heck home, all right? So, no, Tigrahov, do not panic. Do never panic. Stay. Hey, hope that everything is okay. So far, it's okay. This is not a national emergency. I really do appreciate the feedback here. The actual state of emergency is only for 4 prefectures right now: Tokyo, Kanagawa, Chiba, and Saitama. Those 4 prefectures, which is in the Kanto area, a region around the urban center, have been declared in a state of emergency. And I believe strongly that Nagoya, Aichi Prefecture, Osaka, possibly Sapporo, and possibly Fukuoka can be there a few days later or next week, depending on if they can get this under control. Maybe the impact of the Prime Minister giving a huge speech on TV tonight to explain what this lockdown is, and the media getting behind this news story with huge force, will help curb the line and flatten the curve here in Tokyo, and especially in Tokyo, because those 4 prefectures, Saitama, Chiba, Kanagawa, and Tokyo, they account for half of the total amount of people that are infected with COVID here. So if you can get the number down there, you make a significant decrease in the rest of the country, and people follow what's happening here in Tokyo. So if Tokyo is in a bad shape, it's going to have an impact on the rest of the country. Everybody is listening to the news, and they know it's serious. Great questions, everybody. Now I'm going to be taking your questions. What's up, Japan? How you doing? If you do have something that you want to add, Kyoto is not, Kyoto is not in the state of emergency right now. We do not know. Kyoto in itself is its own prefecture. and it's actually much larger than the city of Kyoto. Kyoto goes all the way, I think, to the Sea of Japan, so it's quite large in that sense. John, have a curfew in Tokyo. There is no curfew in the sense that you have to be inside by a certain time. This is not like Australia or the West. Again, a state of emergency, I don't even know exactly what that means. And the Prime Minister will do his best tonight to explain this. And I will be behind whatever he says wholeheartedly and do everything that I can to stay inside. I still have to go outside and do live streams in areas where either indoors or in areas with very little population. I still have to get sunshine. I still have to get daylight. I still have to stay healthy and stay positive, but I will follow the guidelines. And again, like YouTubers and people that are in front of the camera have to set an example for everybody else, of course. So I'll be doing my part. Why is all the places have prefectures after them? JS, because if I just say Tokyo, that's a great question, JS. So prefecture means the state. If I say Tokyo, it just means the city. The city of Tokyo is a city, and then there's a state of Tokyo. The prefecture is the area or state. So if you say Alabama, if there was if Alabama City, and I'm saying like Georgia City or Alabama City and Alabama State, Aomori City is the prefectural capital of Aomori Prefecture. And the areas that are under the state of emergency is prefecture. So you have to say that. Tokyo to, but in English, there's no way to say to. Ken is the Japanese for prefecture, but Tokyo to is the way that you would explain prefecture, meaning metropolitan. The mayor of Tokyo is actually the governor of Tokyo. So sometimes they call her the mayor, sometimes they call her the governor, but she's actually the governor of Tokyo Prefecture, which is the area. It is not like a country. I guess it's like a state. Like the United States has 50 states, Japan has 47 prefectures. All right. So that's why I say the word prefecture. It's a great question. I'm not the governor. Oh, the governor. That's not the governor. Any prefectures the same as, are prefectures the same as the suburbs? No, the prefecture is a total land. I want you to think of it like the state of New York and the city of New York. If you say New York State or New York City, they have different meanings. So that's why when you say prefecture, it's important for you to understand that it represents the state, which is the border, not just the suburbs. But the 4 prefectures that are in the state of emergency would be considered the suburbs of Tokyo. And they are in the areas that are the metropolitan area, I guess you would say, those 4 prefectures. So the lines of the suburbs go outside of the prefecture. These are great questions. I'm late to the show. Can you give briefing to those now showing up? Heather writes in here. This is why a lot of people say that, hey, John, sometimes your show is repetitive, but I cannot not give an update. So get the light a little bit brighter here. Michael Sassano, please stay safe, John. We all need both you and Kanai to remain healthy. You're our lifeline to all things Japan, and we appreciate all that you do. Thank you, Michael. I'll do the best that I can possibly do to report this stuff to you. To break down, and I'm gonna stop this live stream probably in 10 minutes, peso. The Only Japan community knows I go a little bit longer than I say. You can hear you can hear the bells representing 4:30 in Japan. I was going to do this outside, but I figured that it would be better to do this indoors because I should probably stay off of the streets today. Just it's something that we should consider living here in what is the state of emergency. So just to reiterate for those joining us, tonight, Prime Minister Suga will be giving an address explaining what the state of emergency does. It's been on the Japanese TV all morning. This is the news of the hour, and this live stream is sort of a way to mark how do we feel at this moment in time, January 7th, January 8th, 2021. So tonight, the biggest news is that restaurants will close from 10 p.m. to 8 p.m. Again, it does not seem like a big thing, and this state of emergency is not a lockdown. It's not like what you have in the West. People will listen up to what he has to say, and it's a starting point for more points to be addressed. But when the government calls a state of emergency in the first time, people listened. The streets were deserted. There were no penalties, but the streets were deserted, and the lines and the curve went down. After 6 weeks, we saw that it was just a trickle, and they called the state of emergency. So Tokyo today had over 2,000 people infected with coronavirus, and this has really started an urgency. And that's why even the way I speak, even in the way my eyes are open a little bit brighter, it's serious stuff. I've never been this concerned about it as I am right now. Now, it's still a fraction of the population. The chance of getting COVID here in Tokyo is way, way lower than in most major cities around the world right now. But it's still something that worries everybody. It doesn't matter where you are. This is still a pandemic, and it can get out of control quite quickly. So this measure, experts say, should have been taken before the New Year's holiday, but we're now starting to see the impact of the New Year's holiday, people not staying at home, going around and spreading this by going back to their hometowns. We're seeing the result of that right now, and they're calling the state of emergency because I think the government knows that. And you can see, I guess these are live images of Shibuya. The Kosat and the Hachiko is pretty much quiet right now, and you can see there's some live cameras around. You can see if people are really staying at home. I've been watching the news all day, try to get a piece of this. So the state of emergency, there was really no other way to do this. This is the start, and I think from this state of emergency, the measures are going to get stricter and stricter based on how the day-by-day impact is. What the state of emergency does is it means that we as people and citizens and residents of Japan are going to be watching the TV a lot more. We take this more seriously, which we probably should have been doing months ago. And now we're going to be looking at probably daily updates by the governor and by the prime minister on the status of these 4 prefectures, and if they call a state of emergency in other prefectures. We're going to be seeing that more. And you see there's a winter storm coming into Tokyo. This is definitely something that I'm sure that they're thinking about. There is a lot of snow. You can see Tokyo is in the clear down at the bottom, but there's a lot of snow coming in tonight into Niigata and certain areas. So stay safe, not just from this pandemic, but from really hard weather that's going to be coming in. It's relatively warm here, but the wind has picked up. And you saw earlier, it was pretty sunny, but that's probably going to be different tomorrow. I went to Mount Fuji yesterday. Mount Fuji didn't have any snow at Fujinomiya, which is crazy, or the day before yesterday. So yeah, we need some snow, but the timing with the shutdown, I guess it's good enough here. Those are images from Tohoku right there that they're showing us behind. The Sapporo Major John in Fujinomiya. Yeah, I love Fuji. I used to live in Fujinomiya. You can see that live stream as Kanai and I walked around that area from a couple of days ago. Fujinomiya is also where we went right before the first state of emergency was called. And we got a chance to see the people were really, really hurting there. And I just want to say, when you do come back to Japan, and I hope that you do come back to Japan after things get better, I hope that you still consider Japan as your destination. Because you watching can go to any country. I really want you to come to Japan because I love this country very much. I think there's a ton of things to offer. And over the next couple of weeks, despite me being inside, I still will keep up with the live streams and take you with me on some trips, even if it has to be digitally. But I do hope that you still consider Japan as a place that you come to visit when things do get better. And I'll keep giving you reasons why. No, you cannot come and find me. I got you found me cards, and those you found me cards are out of business right now, okay? Turn the brightness of the light here. The sun has set, so it's a different light than before. Do not try to find me, and if you do, I will step away and be rude. Just for my own safety. It is TBS behind me. Yeah, slightly blurred. I'm fine to give more time to study Japanese. In the meantime, if you are, looking at information for Japan, go ahead and start studying Japanese. There's some really good channels to do that. And one of the things that Kanai and I were thinking about doing is possibly giving you some Japanese lessons as live streams. But, we'll just keep finding ways to keep you entertained and engaged on Japan here. Once again, for those that are tuning in, the state of emergency will start today. Will be announced today, start tomorrow. The politicians have leaked the contents of the state of emergency. Two people. I don't think it has much bite to it, but you don't need to have much bite in order for it to be effective in Japan. I just want you to know that what you see here is not like as a state of emergency is not the same as what you're going to get a state of emergency in the West. It's just a different culture, and this all started from the Constitution after World War II, which gave a nice amount of civil liberties to everybody. And just so you know, my birthday is the day after the state of emergency. So get ready for a celebration one way or another. So it's something to look forward to for all of you. So get ready for John's birthday party. It's the day after the state of emergency. Love it. That's what I will be doing. And Kanai's birthday is very, very soon. And I don't know if we're going to celebrate that in a live stream because she's very shy and she's not your name. Yeah, maybe not. But I will have to go and get her a cake. It's true. Yeah. There will be government subsidies. A state of emergency means that people will not be able to do things the same way, which is another reason why this is a soft state of emergency. People are still going to be probably going to work. I think it just draws attention to the fact that the situation is really, really bad. And after you call a state of emergency, you can add on to it and call for stronger measures. It just depends on how people's actions are as a result of this being called. I really hope that people start to stay home. I'm doing this broadcast from home instead of doing it in Ginza or Shimbashi, which is where I was thinking of doing it, just as an example. Tomorrow I'll be doing a live stream in a place where there's nobody, actually. So I'll be finding ways to do this without impacting, without having a negative impact on this. Wow. Again, I don't have really anything more to say. This is a live stream. I've been asked to reiterate the information several times by you. Let's take a look at some of the questions that you have. And if you've never, any merch news. Actually, I do have, I guess I can show you here. If you haven't already, you can sign up for the Postcard Club. I mean, I'm always appreciative of that. But the first item in the merch store is this the wrapped only in Japan hitchhiking Blu-ray, which I announced a few days ago, and I hitchhiked the whole country. There's a little map and a timeline. It folds out, gives all the pictures of the people pick me up. It's about 3 hours long, but I think it's really, really well done. This is a Kickstarter I did about 3 years ago, and that was really successful, and I made an excess amount of DVDs, Blu-rays. So we're going to be sending these out, probably start that as the first item in a merch store by February. And for Patreon supporters, I will be explaining how you can get one right now, because I do have limited supplies here in Japan. I had these made up in the United States and then sent to me. So half of them are still in the United States. Thank you, Ellis and David. So we'll get that. No, I do not carry. Who wrote that? Can we get that on Laserdisc? No, do you even have a Laserdisc player? And if you do, that's really cool. Suzanne Tran writes in here, Happy New Year, and hoping you guys stay safe. Get in awesome Gachapon. I would love to. And thank you, Nightbot, for recommending the channel. I don't know, Netflix, please listen. Hear me now, believe me later, Netflix. You should put this on your channel. It's pretty good, this one. Give it to the people. Give it to the people. No, I do not. Who's writing that? Like several times. Rob, Chan, no VHS, all right? I don't even have tools to make VHS. And please get a DVD player at least, all right? Okay, VHS, really? Come on, it's like 2021. Who's watching that? But I can do VHS quality for you. And actually, this live stream probably is VHS quality, since it might be broadcast at like near pixelated visuals sometimes. So that's why our audience is so in love with VHS, because the quality of these live streams is like 240p. Right? I'm kidding. How do I feel? I'm looking at questions and I don't see many. So I'm wondering if anybody actually cares about the state of emergency. They just like to see a live stream. Kanai and I are worried. We're concerned. We're kind of afraid about going to the supermarket, and we feel the same things that you are feeling. Supermarkets in Japan are different because they're quite crowded. There's not a lot of open space unless you're at Costco. So you have to go at times like midnight. So actually, I kind of am hoping that they open the supermarkets 24 hours a day instead of doing it at limited hours, because when you just limit sometimes store hours from like 6 hours a day, more people just go and the lines are longer, right? So 24-hour store, and I would rather go at 2 a.m. and shop than I would at 5 p.m. like right now, because the stores are going to be too crowded. So we're quite worried about our daily lives and how this is going to impact us shopping and doing the things that we've been doing for the last several months. When the state of emergency lifted, the numbers went down. The second wave came, but it was nowhere near as big as we thought it would be. The summer came, and we all kind of still did traveling and kept precautions, but now things are more. Actually, the state of emergency is exactly what we should be doing. So I'm quite happy that they've decided to call this for right now. I just hope that it does not adversely impact businesses that were on the fringe of closing that we've seen in the series in Akihabara, especially the game centers and places that all of you love might not be there later on. Tortoro Porco, if you stay at home, maybe we could watch Karate Kid together and watch your reaction shots. I was gonna actually do a reaction on people reacting to reaction videos, all right? So it's kind of funny how everyone is doing these reaction videos. Do you really wanna see my facial expressions? And I'll tell you this, okay? I watched this Cobra Kai season 3, all right? And YouTube is no longer really in this production anymore. It's like Sony Pictures and Netflix or something. And I am shocked at the level of unknowing about Japanese culture that Ralph Macchio has about Japan. Ralph, man, my man, give me a call, okay? I can get you up to speed. At exiting a taxi and going, domo arigato, like this, you can do way, way better than that. I was really, really shocked at them turning a South California shopping mall into a Baskin Robbins and American Outfitters, like American Eagle and stuff like this. Like you guys should actually go to Okinawa maybe. I think they took some like shots there. I was just surprised. Just so you know, Karate Kid 2, when Daniel LaRusso does go to Okinawa, does not actually take place in Okinawa. I think they filmed some shots there, but it was filmed in Hawaii. All right. So look, Ralph, I don't think you're watching, but get in touch, man. Seriously, I know this place, and I could be your stunt double. I don't mind getting kicked in the face. I will do that for you, because I'm younger, slightly, and I'm pretty decent shape despite the stay-at-home belly. All right, I'm appealing to my Ralph, sir, Machio, sir, Mr. Machio. I should call you, sir. You never know. He could be watching. Who knows? If you are in the production of Cobra Kai, call me up because I would love to be in the background, just standing there. I could do that. What else do we got here? Question. Sounds like Dwight. Question. Apologies if you've already addressed this, but what does the Tokyo state of emergency look like compared to what it looks like right now? Yeah, you know what? Probably not a lot, but what it does is it raises the awareness of people. Again, the experts have said the biggest reason why we have this huge surge in numbers, not only just because of the weather, but because of the policy of the restaurants going out to eat, people remove their masks, and then it's as though there is no pandemic. They just start talking like normal with the group of people that they have. There's no protections in between them. Once you remove your mask, you start eating. When you're in groups, you start to talk, and whoever you're with is the reason why you get it. In fact, one of Kanai's friends in New York got coronavirus because she went out to a party for Christmas. How dare you? And if you're Kanai's friend watching this, get well soon. And don't do that again. So going out and drinking parties and stuff was something a lot of people did in Tokyo. I was asked to go out to some of these, and I said no. So a state of emergency is a heightened level of notice that you should not do that. It's like getting slapped in the face, but an air slap, so it doesn't hurt. Constitution protects you. That's what it looks like. Mr. Dash, I should go get the. It's probably expired. How much beer does the standard bottle of Asahi hold? A standard bottle. That's a good question because bottles in Japan are 633 milliliters. So technically, you cannot pick it up. It's like a 40 ouncer. So we will have to do a tribute to Mr. Das and get some Asahi for some indoor camping soon. Thank you for that, Mr. Das. It's always nice to have our brother in Canada asking these questions. I honestly don't think the state of emergency will be any different. Kanai, you do think the state of emergency, people stay home? Nani suru no mina? Like, amari.
I'm not sure yet because we don't have the detail yet.
Yeah.
So
We don't have the full details. Schools will stay open. University exams are going to go on as planned because you really can't cancel that. The city is more prepared than it was during the first state of emergency. So they do have vinyl sheets. They do have taxi drivers with, enclosures and things like this. We are better prepared. But to be honest with you, I don't think that the measures that they're going to be announcing tonight are going to make more of a difference other than just stay within these 4 prefectures, stay at home more, and restaurants, please close at 8 p.m. instead of 10 p.m., which actually is going to have a pretty big impact because there's nothing open for when you finish work. Your boss can no longer make you go out and have a drink with him. And bosses everywhere, let your workers go home. It's a pandemic. Somebody wrote, always look, John looks angry recently, so I smile. Chan from India writes in here, John, do you have something behind the camera that's changing colors, or is your camera having trouble with the white balance? I think it's the TV. Just the TV and the white balance. It's not professional. YouTube, YouTube. Failed offerings, cake, stay safe. I gotta go and get the cake, and I know some shops that have few people, so I will do that. Birthday's tomorrow, just so you know. It's not that big. It's 65 inches. 77 and 88 inches are now available. So this is actually mid-range. All right. Yeah. I don't think so. It's okay. It's okay. Sake review live stream, maybe. It's possible. More questions about my TV now. Then the toilet gonna run out of paper. We have toilet paper, right? Costco, thank you. No, Costco is fully stocked. In fact, if you go to Instagram, go and check back at a photo of Instagram from about 5 months ago, and there's a picture of Kanai standing in front of what would be a warehouse of toilet paper, which is Costco Japan. It is insane, the amount of toilet paper that they came in. And Japan was not really toilet paper panicked. They were more like mask and alcohol panicked. So we didn't have that problem. Yeah, Instagram, I had some pretty cool photos from the last couple of months. Green tea review live stream, please. Can do. Hey, King Wong's in Singapore. I'm trying to look for questions here for some stay home curry pan. I know they don't deliver though. I gotta go out there and pick it up. But if I go in the morning before everybody goes there, I think I can pick it up. The bakeries that I love very much, actually, there's a line out the door and only 3 people can go into a bakery at a time. And this is just rules, I think, made up by each bakery, which I kind of think is good. There are places outside the shops that let you know where to stand so you're socially distanced. And when you get in there, 3 people at a time, which is something that's good. It's very easy to get really close to people in a bakery using tongs and stuff because it's like all you can pick up with the tongs system. So I will try, King, to get some curry palm for you and me and Kai and Okapi. The GoTo campaign is canceled, and Saya, the GoTo travel campaign, I don't think that it caused a lot of, I don't think that was the reason for the outbreak of people. I think it was mostly people just going out and getting too close to other people. The Shinkansen filters the air. It's pretty safe to ride the Shinkansen. If you wear your mask, you don't talk, you kind of keep to yourself. This is why I haven't done any food bento unboxings on the Shinkansen very much. Like, you don't talk on the Shinkansen unless there's nobody around you. Um, it, I don't think that was a really big, heavy place of infection. I think it was more people going out to eat, which is why the restaurants and the Go To Eat campaign probably was more hurtful than the Go To Travel. And that was ended a month ago. So no longer in effect. Yeah. I have a question. Hey, oh, I'm so excited. The boy 321. How are the school kids affected? Not sure if I missed any news on it. Schools will remain open. The biggest thing that's happening with schools are university exams and school exams. That will continue as planned. Schools are remaining open. In fact, we're going to hear the announcement really soon, but I got a feeling that they might have more online lessons and they might have more attendance rationing. I don't know of a better word, where half the class does their lessons online and half the class goes into school to reduce the population or any crowds inside of it. Whereas like on Mondays and Fridays, group A go. Tuesdays and Thursdays, group B go. And Wednesdays, maybe everybody stays at home or something like this. Japan has been thinking about the system because they can then move the desks apart further because the desks were too close together in the classroom. So by decreasing the amount of people going to the schools, they can increase the distance and the social distancing, thus reducing on risks of infection. How this impacts with the South African mutation strain and the one from the UK, this is something that is extremely worrying to the government of Tokyo and Japan, and something that's been in the news a lot because they both came into Japan a couple weeks ago. Why don't I get notifications for live streams? I don't know! If you want notifications, go to Patreon, because I almost always, like 99% of the time, release the live stream and notifications come through Patreon directly to you, or Instagram stories, instagram.com/onlyinjapantv. If you follow me there, you get notifications. Discord server, 24 hours. We actually have a COVID-19 information center on the Only in Japan Discord server, discord.gg, discord.gg/only in Japan, one word. The one word is, don't write one word. It's discord.gg/only in Japan. Don't write one word. Don't write Only in Japan one word as one word. That's what I'm trying to say. Nightbot. I want to do voice messages. Nightbot, ban spamming viewer right now. Nightbot. I'm in Melbourne, Australia. Do you think Nippon will have a strict lockdown? We had 5-kilometer radius from our homes. No. This lockdown, and this is the last thing I'm going to be ending on because we're at like 1 hour. How did this happen? I don't know what kind of tree that is. This is a tree I've had for 15 years. So it's my friend. I don't know its variety. It's tree. The lockdown in Japan, this is the last thing for those watching. If you've watched this long, a big hug to you. It's an air hug. I can't believe you watched for an hour. This is crazy. The lockdowns in Japan, they're not called lockdowns, they're called state of emergencies. State of emergencies. State of emergencies is the highest level that you can have as a way of notifying people that we are in a very bad state of emergency. The Japanese government has no bite to the bark, all right? It's in the Constitution. Prime Minister Suga is trying to change the Constitution to allow stricter penalties, any penalties for people that don't follow the rules. Right now, there isn't. So what the government's been doing is rewarding people for following the rules, and they can't penalize if you don't. So if you don't wear your mask, nobody can do about it. If you don't close your business at 8 p.m. and don't follow the rules, right now the system is the media publicly shames you, or I will come and shame you. And if I don't follow the rules, you shame me. Actually, that happens often anyways. Trolls will shame me, but I don't feel ashamed because I'm a walking callus, and you cannot I can step on it on your nails and it won't hurt me at all. But don't try that because I feel pain. Say, be clear. Don't challenge your audience. It's like don't challenge your audience to hurt you. My community would never do that. Hey John, question. When do you think people will be able to travel to Japan? The vaccinations will not start in Japan until the end of February, and that's for workers. I probably won't even have an opportunity to until at earliest like April. So if that's the case, I would say the earliest possible would be June, depending on what happens over the next six. This is 6 months down the road, people. Okay, so we got lots of time. The earliest would be 6 months, I believe. But first and foremost, it will start with neighboring countries again: Korea, China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, Vietnam, Thailand, probably Indonesia in there, Philippines, Australia. And then it'll open up wider to countries that have better situations. But I would say June probably, but with conditions. And then probably things get a little bit easier in the fall after the Olympics. And then after the Olympics, I don't know. But really, it won't be the same travel as we did in 2019. Okay, it'll be different. We won't get to the same thing in 2019, maybe till like 2023. It was, you know, I'm old enough, and I think most of you are too. After 9/11, 2001, when the Twin Towers came down, I was in Nairobi. I just finished climbing Kilimanjaro. And I will do story time with John again later. But I was in Kilimanjaro, just come down from Kilimanjaro at the time when CNN had the thing on TV in Kenya that said America under attack. And for a few years after that, I mean, travel was never the same again after that. Travel had changed. We had the TSA, we had reaction to that action. And there's going to be a reaction to what has happened here. And that's a lot of it is going to stay with us for decades, probably. We all have a feeling that this could happen again. I mean, this is always something that maybe we were complacent that we weren't ready for something like this, and we can be thankful that it's not more dangerous, right? So I'm somebody who always looks at the bright side. But travel to Japan, if it does start up in June, it's going to be with conditions and asterisks, just like my new channel, and it will be not so powerful, not so strong. It won't be the same as 2019, is what I'm trying to say. Nightbot, it will take you out if you get political. Absolutely. Humans honestly live for too close to one another. Failed offerings, especially on the Yamanote line. It's true. It's true. Twitchy writes in, stay safe from Canada. Thank you, Twitchy. We're doing our very, very best right now. This is why I'm live streaming from home. Have you considered doing a cooking stream? I think Cooking with Kanai stream would be a hit. Cooking with Kanai, do suru. She said she will try. We can start with ramen because I cannot do it. I've tried to cook ramen. It was really bad. It's true. I did it like in reverse and it tasted really bad. So Twitch is like soon. I can't get a second desk. I've been trying to order it. I couldn't fit it in the car, so I couldn't take it with me. So I have another desk coming and I'm setting up my Twitch rig, but we can try to do some basic Twitch streams. I don't know, today or tomorrow maybe. So only in Japan TV. So they're talking about the state of emergency. It's now 5 p.m. So they're going to be doing that announcements pretty soon. It'll be a state of emergency for 3 prefectures. And they said Mamonaku. And right now you can see on the TV behind me, this is the deep red ones are the ones with the highest amounts of increases over the last couple of days. And the orange ones are where there are infections. Every single prefecture in Japan has had an infection yesterday, including Shimane, which had 1. So there's a state prefecture, which is a state in Japan that had 1 infection. There's a few up in Tohoku that had 2, but Tokyo had like over 2,000. So that's a big deal. And we're seeing a reaction to this, and we're very much looking forward to the Prime Minister's talk, which is going to be coming up pretty soon, on the details of the state of emergency. But we do know for sure that the restaurants and businesses will be impacted. Just how far, we're not sure. Just one in Shimane, and I feel bad for that person. Probably the mother of somebody whose daughter went to school in Tokyo. I don't know. Just everybody. It's not something that I will ever kid about, but you know, we are very concerned in Japan, and please do stay safe. COVID is something to take seriously, and this is not a good time to be traveling for anybody. But because we're all locked at home and we're all been doing this for so long, we do feel tired out of it. So don't look for everything to be COVID on this channel. This is like once in a, what's less rare than a blue moon? Like a normal full moon, but like that, okay? So 6,000 people, over 6,000 people today. And there are 19 prefectures. Actually, the state of emergency might be expanded to 19, it looks like, over time, because that's where we're seeing the biggest numbers. 19 of the 47 prefectures. But the state of emergency that's going to start up, and they're going to announce really soon, will be the 4 prefectures: Saitama, Chiba, Kanagawa, and Tokyo. Tokyo, the big one, and the 3 prefectures around. When I say Tokyo prefecture, that means Tokyo going all the way out to Okutama and the islands, because Tokyo is quite large, actually. There's the city of Tokyo, and then there's the prefecture, the space, Tokyo-to, which is quite large. Red Moon, maybe. Yeah. Question. I like the fact that people with questions write questions. Do cinemas stay open? Right now, according to the information that I have from NHK and the sources that is listed in the description of this live stream, cinemas will stay open. They do have, the cinemas are not seat to seat. They do keep every other seat open, just like sporting events. And typically people do not talk at a cinema, which is a good thing. So Chiba had 400, the prefecture of Chiba had 450 people. And they're showing the news right now into each area. So yes, I will be doing indoor camping. I will try to get a PS5, a PlayStation 5. I don't know how, but I will try to get these things. I will try to get a Nintendo Switch or something, right, Kanai? Kanai does not play video games, and I have to stop talking like this. But we will probably get the retro Nintendo out and do stuff with you. So we're all here in this together. We're in this together. We're in this to win this. Traveling Toes 11 from Seattle, John. Love your coffee. Hi, love your channel. And about indoor camping with traditional Japanese stories for viewers. Traditional stories translated to English would be very interesting. That's a good suggestion. Good suggestion. Any last questions? I will take one more, and then I'm out of here because I have editing to do. Question. Super chats can you read my comments? Thanks. The Crow. I will go before I end the live stream. I go back and look at all these. Chris Jones, have you seen any Makoto Shinkai movies? Off topic, but no, I have not recently. All right, now I'm gonna go back and see if there's anything that I missed here. Traveling Toes, thank you. The Crow, love your channel. Remember the first video I watched you going between 2 walls in Akihabara? Yes, that was after my hitchhiking. This is from the Crow in Australia. That's the secret train of Akihabara, and was one of the first live streams. And then all the other J vloggers went back there and did that after I had introduced it in a live stream. But that was a pretty good one. That shrine has been renewed, and for 2 years after I'd done that, they actually closed off the ends of there, so people had trouble going in there and finding it. But once again, you can go back there and see it, and it's been renewed. It's really cleaner and more beautiful, and they put more padding. I guess somebody took numbers and saw more people were visiting. Thank you very much. You're very welcome. Dipendra Das, start that casual cooking show with Kanai following simple Japanese and other recipes. That would be a lot of fun. We just have to get to the supermarket and make sure we can get those ingredients for those recipes. And actually, if you have any requests, you can put that in the comments below, because I love hearing from you and get some ideas. Would be pretty cool. Thank you, The Crow. Thank you for reminding me as well to go back and look at these. George Lopez, Emergency Manny's Fund. Thank you, George. Brandania's in the house. Keep staying safe. Looking forward for the creative indoor streams. Did you guys manage to get the Nintendo Switch? I gave up, but they might be available, and I'm probably going to put in the order now. Um, yeah. So thanks for that, Susan Tron. Failed offerings. Gotta go get that. Gotta go get that cake. It was funny to see Mr. Dawson. Betty C. Will Disneyland be closed due to this? Disneyland and Tokyo Disneyland どうするかな？わかる？
なんか昨日発表してたよね。
They introduced something yesterday, but I think that they might try to find ways to stay
They
open.
close at 8.
They close earlier right now. So
Yeah.
what people are doing is just trying to get people. They're closing earlier. So just right now the hours have gotten shorter at Tokyo Disneyland. But I'll look. I'm gonna do these updates at least once a week because I need to do something. And this information is always changing. We're in a state of emergency. I take this seriously, including the snow here. So Betty C, subscribe. I will do another update next week because I think that there's going to be a lot of changes and more definition to what this means. Yeah, Toto had a good question. I think is that Argentina? People being asked to start working from home. Do you think the state of emergency will be effective in curbing the spread? I don't know. I think it might be too little too late. I think that people have been staying home, but people were complacent. This is my opinion now. I don't know what's going to happen. I do think that this is a good step. It's a necessary step. And you can see there's a winter storm that's going to come into Japan. Ado's here from Holland. I just tuned in. Please stay safe. Also for Kanai. You got it. Tomorrow is Kanai's birthday, so we got to do something for her. Please stay safe, John, from Michael Sassano. Jiman threefold, thank you for the coffee. I will be purchasing some new coffee because I just ran out of coffee. The Suigin one. Hey, John, I have a feeling the Olympics is going to cancel. I don't think so. I don't think they're going to announce it for another couple of months. It just depends on the vaccines, what the numbers look like, and again, like, can those athletes actually go through the qualifiers? And if the qualifications cannot take place, how can you have the Olympics? That will be the reason why the Olympics are canceled. Not because in July, we will be at a place where we're okay to hold the Olympics, just not with the same amount of participators and tourism. But it just depends on if the Olympic athletes can do qualifiers to compete. Again, tomorrow I will go over this with you. Raymond Centeno for the upcoming birthday. Raymond, hold that over tomorrow. But thanks for the advance on that. Chan writes in here, do you think the working from home thing will help? And we will see. But right now, it is quite worrying what I've been seeing. The last couple of months has been very, very, I don't know, people weren't taking this seriously enough. I get the feeling like people can take this seriously. And the state of emergency is a good place to start. Thanks so much for the questions. I really appreciate the enthusiasm that you all have for Japan. The sun has gone down. It's quite early at 5 p.m. It's pretty dark outside in the winter. I will keep giving you these updates, so hit that like button if you want me to do these updates more regularly. Make sure we get over 1,000 likes for each live stream. That's an indication that this is something that was very useful for you. And my ear is to the ground here, and I'm somebody who will be giving you all the information I collect, not just from news sources, but also from people that are in the government, people in associations, people that are planning to restart travel. I hear that first, usually as a news source in Japan. I have these kinds of connections, so I'm able to give you that information, which is a reason why Only in Japan Go, this mobile live streaming channel, is really valuable to me and to this community. So thank you so much for subscribing and being a member of it. Ignacio, thanks for everything and keep safe. Thank you so much, Ignacio. You too. And thanks to the community. I'll see you again tomorrow as I do one on the Olympics and how this state of emergency is going to impact something I've been looking forward to since 2007, actually, when Tokyo has been wanting to do it, when the mayor Ishihara was so excited about bringing the Olympics to Japan as a catalyst of economic growth. We finally have it, and here we go. So see you in the next live stream, everybody. Stay safe wherever you're in the world. Bye-bye. Later. Good night. Say goodbye.